If you're over 60, please hear this. A simple piece of fruit, something you've probably eaten your whole life, could quietly be raising your risk of stroke while you sleep. No symptoms, no warning. You go to bed feeling fine, and wake up unable to speak, stand, or even move one side of your body. I know this sounds shocking, but as a brain doctor, I've seen it happen too many times, and not from smoking or junk food, but from fruit. Yes, even something that seems so healthy and innocent can become risky when your body changes with age. After 60, your kidneys, liver, blood vessels, and brain don't handle sugar, potassium, or acid the same way. Medications, slower circulation, and nighttime dehydration all add up, turning one simple fruit into a silent threat. That's why today, I want to walk with you through the 6 common fruits that may be doing more harm than good, especially if you eat them at the wrong time or in the wrong combination. If you're watching this and want more practical, science-backed tips for protecting your brain and heart, please subscribe to Health 365 and leave a comment below with the word yes if this topic hits close to home. You might be surprised by which fruits made this list and why. Let's start with one of the most common. My friend, let's talk about something simple, but potentially dangerous. Bananas. Yes, those soft, sweet, friendly fruits we've all loved since childhood. They're easy to digest, full of nutrients, and feel like a safe snack. But after the age of 60, eating bananas, especially overripe ones, might not be as harmless as you think. Here's why. As bananas ripen, the starches break down into sugar. That's why they taste sweeter the riper they get. But while the taste becomes more pleasant, the impact on your body becomes more risky. An overripe banana has a very high glycemic index. It causes your blood sugar to spike faster, and that can be a big deal if you're over 60. Why? Because as we age, our ability to manage potassium, blood sugar, and blood pressure declines. The kidneys slow down, insulin sensitivity weakens, and blood vessels get stiffer. This means that something as innocent as a mushy, speckled banana could raise your blood sugar sharply, increase blood pressure, and even affect heart rhythm due to the high potassium load. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 76-year-old retired librarian from Illinois. She always had 1 or 2 overripe bananas in the morning, sometimes blending them into a smoothie. She thought it was a healthy start to her day. But one morning, she felt dizzy after waking up, and her speech was slurred. Her husband rushed her to the ER. The doctors diagnosed her with a mild ischemic stroke. Her blood pressure had spiked overnight, and her potassium levels were high. They told her that while bananas weren't the only factor, the combination of sugar, potassium, and her morning dehydration created the perfect storm. Margaret made a small change after that. She started eating smaller, greener bananas, and only after drinking water and having a bit of protein first. Her energy improved, and her blood pressure became more stable. The takeaway? Bananas are not the enemy, but overripe bananas, especially in large amounts or on an empty stomach, can quietly push vulnerable seniors toward a stroke. And here's the thing. Bananas aren't the only fruit with this hidden danger. Next, let's talk about grapes. Tiny, sweet, and refreshing. But with a surprisingly high sugar load that might be even more risky. Grapes. They look harmless, don't they? Tiny, sweet, refreshing, served with lunch, tossed into salads, or offered as a light snack with the grandkids. But for someone over 60, grapes may not be as innocent as they seem. Here's why. Grapes are pure sugar in a small package. Even the seedless ones, especially the extra sweet varieties sold in most grocery stores, are packed with glucose and fructose. When you eat a handful, especially on an empty stomach, that sugar goes straight into your bloodstream. fast. As we get older, our insulin response slows down. Our blood vessels get more delicate. That sudden sugar spike doesn't just give you a quick burst of energy, it stresses your brain and heart in ways you may not even feel. Inside those fragile vessels, sugar causes tiny bits of inflammation, microscopic swelling and damage, which the body tries to repair by forming clots. These are small at first. You won't notice them, but day after day, the risk adds up. Until one morning, you can't find your balance, or your words won't come out right. That's exactly what happened to Mrs. Evelyn Morris, 79, a retired music teacher from Colorado. She was sharp, independent, and loved her routine, especially her mid-morning bowl of red grapes while reading. Some days, she'd eat 2 cups without even thinking. Then, one day, while writing a birthday card to her grandson, she noticed her hand trembling. A few minutes later, she couldn't remember how to spell "congratulations." Her daughter rushed her to the ER. It was a mini-stroke, a transient ischemic attack. Her blood sugar had spiked. Her labs showed low-grade inflammation and pre-diabetic markers she never knew she had. She thought she was doing everything right. But even fruit, if eaten in the wrong way, can quietly turn dangerous. So here's what I now tell my patients. Never eat grapes on an empty stomach. Don't eat them by the bowlful. Instead, enjoy a small handful and always pair them with a few almonds or a slice of cheese to slow down the sugar rush. And please, avoid grapes at night. Your body needs stable blood flow while you sleep, not sugar spikes. If you're diabetic or on blood pressure medication, ask your doctor first before making grapes a regular part of your day. Because even something so small can quietly become a big risk, especially when you're not watching for it. Now, if you think grapes were surprising, wait until we talk about pineapple. That sweet, tropical bite you enjoy after dinner? It might be quietly interfering with your brain while you sleep. Let me explain why. Next. For older adults, especially those taking medication or dealing with circulation issues, pineapple can quietly create the perfect storm for stroke risk. Let me explain why. Pineapple contains a natural enzyme called bromelain. In small amounts, it may help break down protein and ease digestion. But in larger amounts, or when combined with blood thinners or medications that affect clotting, bromelain can actually disrupt your body's ability to clot properly. In plain terms, it can make your blood too thin, and that opens the door for something even more serious: brain bleeds, a form of stroke that's much harder to recover from. But that's not the only danger. Pineapple is also very high in sugar, with a high glycemic index. That means it floods your bloodstream with sugar quickly, especially risky if you eat it after dinner, when your body is slowing down and no longer burning energy. That sugar sits, circulates, and puts stress on your blood vessels while you sleep. And then there's the acid. Pineapple is one of the most acidic fruits in the grocery store. For many older adults, this can silently trigger acid reflux at night, even without burning pain. That reflux can cause tiny amounts of stomach acid to enter your airway while you sleep, lowering oxygen to your brain. This kind of low oxygen stress has been directly linked to early morning strokes, the most dangerous kind. Let me share the story of Mrs. Clara Hughes, 77, a retired choir director from North Carolina. She thought she was doing everything right. Instead of cake or cookies, she'd enjoy a few slices of fresh pineapple after dinner, every night. But one morning, she woke up dizzy and couldn't walk straight. Her daughter noticed her speech was slurred. At the hospital, scans confirmed a small posterior stroke, one that affected balance and memory. Her blood sugar was high, her platelet levels were off, and tests showed signs of reflux-induced oxygen drops during sleep. It wasn't one cause, it was the combination: sugar, acid, bromelain, all from the fruit she trusted. So here's my advice. Enjoy pineapple earlier in the day, and only in small portions. Never eat it on an empty stomach, and avoid combining it with blood-thinning medications unless your doctor approves. And most importantly, never eat pineapple before bed. Your brain needs rest and steady oxygen, not surprises. Because even something that tastes light and healthy can become a silent risk, especially overnight. And if you think pineapple is risky, wait until you hear about watermelon, the fruit we all think is hydrating. But in some cases, it may be quietly dehydrating your brain. Let's talk about that. Next. Yes, watermelon, the summer favorite. It's light, juicy, refreshing, and 90% water. Most people think it's the perfect way to stay hydrated, especially on a warm day. But for older adults, watermelon can be quietly misleading. Here's something most people don't realize. Watermelon acts like a natural diuretic. That means it makes you urinate more, which might sound harmless, until you remember that many seniors are already on water pills or blood pressure medications that also remove fluid from the body. If you eat a big serving of watermelon in the evening, especially after taking your meds, you could be setting yourself up for overnight dehydration. That's when your body loses too much fluid while you sleep, and you don't even feel it happening. So what does that mean? When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker. It flows more slowly, like syrup. And that thickened blood increases the chance of clot formation, especially in narrow, aging arteries. Combine that with lower blood pressure during sleep, and you have the perfect conditions for a silent stroke. Let me tell you about Mr. Howard Larkin, 82, a retired postal worker from Indiana. He was doing everything right, walking daily, avoiding sweets, trying to stay healthy. One of his habits? After dinner, he'd enjoy 2 or 3 large slices of watermelon to cool down and stay hydrated. But one morning, he woke up dizzy. When he tried to stand, he collapsed. At the ER, his blood pressure was dangerously low, and his labs showed signs of dehydration and thickened blood. A scan confirmed a small ischemic stroke, likely caused by a clot forming overnight when his blood flow had slowed too much. Howard had no idea that the watermelon, something he saw as healthy, was pulling water out of his system, not putting it in. And when combined with his diuretic medication, it tipped the balance. So what's the takeaway? Enjoy watermelon earlier in the day and in moderation. If you're on water pills, talk to your doctor before making it a regular habit. Pair it with electrolytes, like a pinch of salt or a sip of coconut water, to help your body retain hydration. And please, avoid eating it at night. If you notice things like dry mouth, morning dizziness, or feeling off balance when you wake up, don't ignore those signs. They could be whispers from your body that something isn't right. Now, watermelon may be surprising, but what about oranges? A fruit that's long been praised for vitamin C and heart health. Could it really interact with your medications in a dangerous way? Let's take a closer look. Next, a glass of orange juice with breakfast. A sliced orange on the table, maybe even tucked into a Christmas stocking by your grandkids. But here's something most seniors were never told. Oranges, and especially orange juice, can quietly interfere with your medications. It's not just the sugar, though one glass of orange juice can spike your blood sugar quickly. The real concern is a natural compound found in citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruit, and even Seville oranges. It's called furanocoumarin. Now, that's a big word, but here's what it does. Furanocoumarin interferes with the enzymes in your liver, specifically the ones that process many common medications. When that happens, your body either holds on to too much of the drug, or it doesn't process it at all. That means a blood pressure medication you've taken for years could suddenly become too strong, dropping your blood pressure too low. or a statin for cholesterol could build up and cause muscle inflammation or brain fog. Or a blood thinner might stop working properly, leaving your blood unstable and raising your stroke risk without warning. This isn't a theory. I've seen it firsthand. Take Mr. Elbert Bryant, 79, a retired bus driver from Georgia. He had a morning ritual he loved: fresh squeezed orange juice with his breakfast, taken alongside his heart and cholesterol meds. He called it his sunshine in a glass. But over time, he started feeling dizzy, lightheaded when standing, a little confused some mornings. One day, he collapsed getting out of his recliner. Doctors discovered he'd had a minor ischemic stroke, and his blood work showed dangerously elevated drug levels, even though he hadn't changed his doses. What changed was his daily orange juice habit. The citrus compounds had slowed his liver's ability to break down medications. His system had quietly overloaded. So here's what I recommend to all my older patients. Limit orange juice, or skip it altogether if you take medications like statins, calcium channel blockers, or blood thinners. Don't mix citrus with your pills. Ask your doctor if you're unsure. If you love citrus flavor, try a small splash of lemon or lime in water instead. It has fewer interactions. Because at this stage in life, even something as simple as an orange can tip the balance inside your body without you realizing it. And if that made you rethink your morning routine, wait until you hear what I have to say about mangoes. A sweet, tropical treat that could be raising your blood sugar and slowing your liver, all at once. Let's talk about it. Next, soft, juicy, naturally sweet. It feels like a tropical reward, a fruit that seems too delicious to be dangerous. But if you're over 60, especially if you're taking medications for blood pressure, heart rhythm, or cholesterol, mango might be doing more harm than good. Here's why. Mango is one of the highest sugar fruits on grocery shelves. Just 1 cup of ripe mango contains nearly 45 grams of natural sugar. That's more than the sugar in a donut. Now think about what that does to an aging body. Your insulin response is slower. Your blood vessels are more fragile. A sudden sugar spike creates inflammation inside your arteries, especially those leading to your brain. That inflammation can cause tiny cracks in the vessel walls. And what does your body do when there's a crack? It forms a blood clot to patch it up. In a younger body, this might not be a big deal. But in a senior with narrowed arteries, that clot can easily block blood flow to the brain, leading to a stroke. Mango also contains a compound called mangiferin. Sounds harmless, right? But mangiferin can interfere with your liver's ability to process medications, especially ones that use the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. That includes many common heart, cholesterol, and blood pressure drugs. So instead of your body safely clearing those medications, they build up in your system. You don't feel it at first, until you feel dizzy, weak, or worse, until your blood pressure crashes or your heart rhythm changes without warning. Let me share a real story. Mr. William Booker, 83, a retired firefighter from Nevada, decided to eat clean by replacing cookies with dried mango slices each afternoon. He was also on medication for atrial fibrillation and high blood pressure. After a few weeks, he started waking up lightheaded. One morning, he collapsed while getting out of bed. His wife noticed the left side of his face looked droopy. At the hospital, scans showed a mild ischemic stroke. Blood tests revealed that his medication levels were abnormally high, despite taking the correct dosage. The cause? His liver couldn't process the drugs properly, thanks to daily mango. So here's my advice to you. If you enjoy mango, eat only a few bites, and only during the day. Never eat mango before bed, especially not dried mango. It's even more concentrated. Always pair it with protein or fat, like nuts or cheese, to slow sugar absorption. And most importantly, if you're taking any prescriptions for heart or blood pressure, talk to your doctor first. Now that we've gone through these 6 surprising fruits, you might be feeling a little unsure about what's truly safe. And that's completely okay, because recognizing the risks is the first step toward protecting your brain and heart for years to come. As we get older, even healthy habits need a second look. Fruits that once helped us may now quietly work against us, especially when mixed with medications or eaten at the wrong time. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. You don't have to give up fruit, you just have to eat it wisely. Smaller portions, earlier in the day, paired with protein or healthy fat, and always with your doctor's guidance. Your brain, your heart, and your independence are worth protecting. If this video helped you rethink your choices, please like this video, subscribe to Health 365, and leave a comment below with the word AWARE to let us know you're taking action. And remember, you've made it this far in life with strength and wisdom. Now is the time to eat, not just for energy, but for clarity, stability, and a long, vibrant life ahead. What if I told you that eating vegetables, something you've always believed was healthy, could quietly raise your risk of a stroke in your sleep? No pain, no warning. One moment, you're reading a book or watching TV. The next, you can't speak or move your arm. As a brain doctor, I've seen this heartbreaking pattern again and again, especially in people over 60 who were doing everything right. They ate clean, exercised, avoided sugar, and yet they still had strokes. So what went wrong? The truth is, not all vegetables are safe for everyone, especially not in certain combinations or at certain times of day. Some common veggies in your fridge may increase blood pressure, thicken your blood, or even trigger clot formation if you're taking medications, have kidney issues, or are slightly dehydrated. And yes, this can happen even if you're eating healthy smoothies, salads, or stir-fries. I know this may sound shocking, but understanding which vegetables to be careful with could protect your memory, your independence, and your ability to enjoy life without fear. That's why I created this video for you. If you're over 60 or love someone who is, please watch until the end. You might learn something that truly saves a life. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to Health 365 and leave a comment to let us know if you've been eating any of these vegetables daily. You're not alone. Now let's go through the 7 vegetables that may quietly increase stroke risk overnight, and what to do instead. Let's start with something that might truly surprise you. Spinach. That leafy green you've trusted for years, maybe in a salad, a smoothie, or steamed on your dinner plate, can actually raise your stroke risk if you're over 60 and not careful with how you eat it. Now you might be thinking, wait, spinach? I thought that was one of the healthiest foods out there. And yes, it does have great nutrients like vitamin K, folate, and iron. But here's what most people don't know. Raw spinach is very high in oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plants. In small amounts, they're not usually a problem. But when eaten every day, especially raw, they can bind with calcium in your blood and form tiny crystals. Over time, this may contribute to hardening of the arteries, blood clots, or even kidney strain. And that becomes much more dangerous if you're already dealing with mild dehydration, very common at night, taking blood thinners like warfarin or aspirin, or supplementing with calcium or vitamin D. And here's the hard part. Most people don't feel any warning. You go to bed thinking you've made a healthy choice, and you might wake up with slurred speech or weakness in one arm. It's silent. It's sudden. And I've seen it too many times. But here's the good news. You don't have to stop eating spinach. You just need to cook it lightly. A quick steam or sauté reduces the oxalate content dramatically, making it far safer for older adults. And if spinach is something you're using in green smoothies every day, it might be time to rotate in other greens like romaine or bok choy, which are much lower in oxalates. Remember, after 60, it's not just about what you eat, but how and when you eat it that matters. Our bodies change, and we have to adjust with them. And if spinach caught you off guard, just wait until you hear about the next vegetable, a root that's often juiced for heart health, but could dangerously drop your blood pressure in the middle of the night. Let's talk about it. One that often surprises people: beets. Bright, earthy, and often labeled a superfood, especially for heart health. Maybe you've enjoyed beet salads or even sipped beet juice in the morning, thinking it would help lower your blood pressure. And yes, it does. Sometimes a little too well. Beets are naturally rich in nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, a compound that helps relax blood vessels and lower blood pressure. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. If you're already taking blood pressure medications, especially at night, adding beet juice or large amounts of beets can push your blood pressure too low, especially while you're sleeping. Low blood pressure during the night can lead to dizziness when you wake up, blurry vision, fainting, or in worse cases, a lack of blood flow to the brain, something that can contribute to a mini stroke or even a major one. And just like spinach, beets also contain oxalates, which can be hard on the kidneys, especially for older adults whose kidney function may not be as strong as it once was. So, does that mean you need to give up beets entirely? Not at all. The key is moderation and timing. Instead of drinking pure beet juice daily, try eating small portions of cooked beets a few times a week, preferably with meals rather than on an empty stomach. And if you're on blood pressure meds, it's best to talk to your doctor before making beets a regular part of your diet. You can also try mixing beets with other vegetables to reduce the nitrate load. For example, add a few slices to a mixed salad or soup instead of having them as a concentrated juice. Remember, it's not about fear. It's about balance and awareness. After 60, even healthy foods need to be approached with more care. And speaking of balance, the next item might be sitting right on your kitchen counter. It's a tiny powerhouse known for its flavor and heart health benefits. But if you're on blood thinners, it could silently increase your bleeding risk overnight. Let's talk about garlic, something you probably use every single day. Garlic. Whether you sauté it with vegetables or add it to soups, it's been praised for centuries as a natural medicine. And it is powerful. Garlic can help lower cholesterol, support the immune system, and even improve circulation. But here's where it gets tricky, especially if you're over 60 and taking blood thinners. Garlic, especially raw garlic, acts as a natural anticoagulant. That means it makes your blood thinner, much like medications such as aspirin, warfarin, Coumadin, or Plavix. And while that might sound helpful, combining too many blood-thinning agents, whether from your pharmacy or your kitchen, can quietly push your body into dangerous territory. You might not feel anything at first. No pain, no dizziness. But suddenly, a small bump on your head, a tiny fall, or even a cough could lead to internal bleeding, and in serious cases, a brain hemorrhage. I've known patients who fainted unexpectedly or became confused, only to discover later that a bleed had occurred in the brain, with no warning signs at all. So what should you do? If you love garlic, and many of us do, you don't have to stop using it. But you should be cautious about eating raw garlic daily, especially if you're already on prescription blood thinners. Instead, try using lightly cooked garlic, which still offers benefits but is less intense in its blood-thinning effect. A little garlic in your stir-fry or stew is often safer than raw garlic paste or crushed garlic on an empty stomach. And most importantly, Let your doctor know if you regularly eat garlic as part of your routine. They may need to adjust your medication or monitor your blood more closely. Being proactive now could save you from a very serious emergency later. And speaking of hidden dangers, the next vegetable may look completely harmless. It's soft, mild, and often baked or grilled. But inside, it holds a natural compound that can quietly constrict your blood vessels and limit blood flow to your brain. Now, let's move on to a vegetable that seems completely harmless: eggplant. Soft, spongy, and easy to cook. Maybe you've baked it with olive oil, tossed it into a stew, or grilled it alongside your dinner. But here's something most people don't realize. Eggplant contains a natural chemical called solanine. Solanine is found in nightshade vegetables, like potatoes, tomatoes, and, of course, eggplant. In small amounts, it's not dangerous. But if you're over 60, especially if you have circulation problems, high blood pressure, or neurological conditions, solanine may cause your blood vessels to tighten, a process called vasoconstriction. And when your blood vessels constrict, guess what happens? Less blood gets to your brain. Over time, this can increase the risk of forming small clots or triggering mini-strokes, especially if you already have narrowed arteries or if you eat eggplant too frequently. Some older adults have even reported feeling lightheaded or foggy after meals heavy in eggplant, without knowing why. And while this won't happen to everyone, it's worth paying attention to if you eat eggplant multiple times per week or feel a bit off afterward. So, what can you do? First, never eat eggplant raw. Cooking it thoroughly helps break down some of the solanine and makes it much safer. Second, limit your eggplant dishes to once or twice a week, especially if you have vascular issues or take medications that affect blood pressure or circulation. And third, consider swapping in vegetables that are more circulation-friendly, like carrots, squash, or pumpkin. They're rich in antioxidants, but don't carry the same vasoconstrictive risks. Now, coming up next is a vegetable that often shows up in healthy stir-fries or soups, especially in Asian cuisine. It looks harmless, grows quickly, and is even considered a clean food. But for women over 60, it could quietly affect hormone balance and blood clotting. Let's talk about soybean sprouts. Mom things small, crunchy, and often seen as a symbol of freshness. Soybean sprouts. They're light, clean, and easy to add to soups, salads, or stir-fries. Many older adults love them because they feel healthy and gentle on the stomach. But here's what most people don't realize. Soy sprouts are rich in phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens are plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen in the body. For younger people, this might not be a big issue. But for women over 60, especially those who are postmenopausal, this can create a delicate hormonal imbalance. And for some, it may increase the risk of blood clots, particularly if you're already taking hormone replacement therapy or have a family history of clotting problems. Even for men, excessive phytoestrogen intake over time could potentially affect metabolism or hormone-sensitive conditions. Now, to be clear, soybean sprouts are not bad. They have protein, fiber, and vitamins. The issue comes down to how much and how often you eat them. If you enjoy soy sprouts, here are a few tips to stay safe. Always cook them lightly. Stir-fried or blanched is best. Cooking helps reduce the phytoestrogen activity compared to eating them raw. Don't overdo it. Eating a handful here and there is fine, but large servings every day, especially for older women, could quietly influence your body in ways you don't feel until there's a problem. Talk to your doctor if you're on hormone therapy or blood clot medications. Many people don't realize that even small foods like this can interact with prescriptions in the long run. The takeaway? You don't need to avoid them forever. Just treat them like a supplement, not a staple. Next, we're going to look at something most people keep in their fridge year-round. It's sour, crunchy, and often homemade. But its high salt content could quietly send your blood pressure soaring, especially during the most vulnerable hours of the night. Let's talk about pickled vegetables. Something familiar, especially if you grew up with home-cooked meals. Pickled vegetables. Maybe it's sauerkraut, kimchi, or simply homemade cucumber pickles. They add crunch, flavor, and a little nostalgia to every meal. But here's something important to know. Most pickled vegetables are loaded with sodium. And for anyone over 60, especially those with high blood pressure or heart concerns, that much salt can be a real problem, especially at night. Here's why. When you eat salty foods, your body holds on to water. This increases your blood volume, and that pushes your blood pressure higher. For younger people, the body adjusts quickly. But as we age, our blood vessels become less flexible, and the kidneys don't clear sodium as efficiently. That means your blood pressure can spike and stay elevated, especially while you're sleeping. High nighttime blood pressure is one of the most dangerous patterns for older adults. It's a major risk factor for strokes, mini-strokes, TIAs, and even heart failure. And the worst part? You won't feel it coming. You may go to bed feeling fine and wake up with slurred speech, numbness, or not wake up at all. So, does this mean you have to give up your favorite pickled side dishes? Not necessarily. Here's what you can do. Make your own pickles at home using less salt, or try low-sodium recipes that still have flavor but won't spike your blood pressure. Watch the timing. Avoid eating pickled vegetables at night or close to bedtime, when your body is most sensitive to salt. Check food labels if you're buying store-bought options. Some pickles can contain over 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving. Remember, a little tangy crunch can still be part of your diet. It just needs to be smarter, not saltier. Now, there's just one more vegetable left on this list, and it might shock you the most. It's bright, juicy, and often labeled as heart-healthy. But if your kidneys aren't working perfectly, this fruit-like vegetable can quietly raise your risk of irregular heartbeat and stroke. Let's talk about tomatoes. Juicy, vibrant, and packed with antioxidants like lycopene, tomatoes are often celebrated as a heart-healthy food. Many people over 60 enjoy them raw in salads, sliced on sandwiches, or even juiced in the morning. But here's something most folks don't hear often enough. Tomatoes are also very high in potassium. And that's where the concern comes in, especially if your kidney function isn't what it used to be. As we age, the kidneys naturally slow down. They may not filter potassium from the blood as efficiently, especially if you've ever been told you have borderline kidney function or have conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure. When potassium builds up, it can cause irregular heart rhythms, muscle weakness, or even a sudden spike in stroke risk. The tricky part is, high potassium doesn't cause pain or any obvious warning signs. You may feel a little tired or dizzy, or feel nothing at all, until something serious happens. And it's not just fresh tomatoes. Tomato juice, tomato paste, and sauces are often concentrated sources of potassium. Drinking tomato juice daily, especially in large amounts, can quietly tip your potassium levels into a danger zone. But does this mean you should avoid tomatoes entirely? Not at all. Here's a safer approach. Cook your tomatoes. Cooking reduces potassium concentration per serving and helps your body better absorb lycopene, the powerful antioxidant that supports heart health. Watch the portion size. A few slices with your meal is fine, but avoid large raw servings or daily tomato juice unless your doctor has cleared it. And if you've ever been warned about high potassium or kidney issues, ask your doctor if tomatoes should be eaten more cautiously. Remember, tomatoes can still be a part of your diet. You just need to know when and how much. Now that we've walked through these 7 surprising vegetables, you might be wondering, So what should I do moving forward? Let's wrap this up with a few simple, empowering takeaways just for you. After 60, your body changes. Quietly, gradually, but very real. Foods that once supported your health may now need to be adjusted. It's not that spinach, beets, or tomatoes are bad. It's that your timing, portions, and combinations matter more than ever. A simple smoothie or side dish could either support your brain or slowly increase your stroke risk without you knowing it. But don't let that overwhelm you. You're not broken. Your body isn't failing. It's just changing. And with the right knowledge, you can still enjoy your favorite foods while protecting your heart and mind. If today's video helped you see things more clearly, please give it a like. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts or experience. And don't forget to subscribe to Health 365 for more simple, science-based tips made just for you. Your health deserves clarity, not confusion. One moment, you're sipping your morning coffee. The next, your arm won't move. Your words won't come out. No warning, no pain, just gone. As a brain doctor, I've seen this heartbreaking moment far too often, especially in people over 60. And surprisingly, it's not always caused by fast food, smoking, or lack of exercise. Sometimes it's caused by fruit. Yes, fruit. The very thing we've always believed is healthy can quietly raise your risk of stroke if you're not careful. Certain fruits, especially when eaten in large amounts at the wrong time or with age-related sensitivities, can spike your blood pressure, throw off your blood sugar, or even encourage clot formation. Your body after 60 handles sugar, potassium, and acids differently than it used to. What used to be harmless might now be risky, without you even knowing it. Have you ever felt dizzy after a sweet fruit snack? Or lightheaded after drinking juice? You're not alone. That's why today, we're breaking down 9 everyday fruits that may secretly increase your risk of stroke overnight. Some of them are probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Let me know in the comments which of these fruits you eat most often. And don't forget to subscribe to Health 365 for simple, life-saving tips every week. Let's start with the most surprising one on the list. They're sweet, bite-sized, and feel like the perfect healthy snack. You can enjoy them fresh, frozen, or dried in your cereal or snack mix. But here's the part most people don't realize. For older adults, grapes can quietly raise your risk of stroke, especially when eaten often or in large portions. Why? Because grapes are packed with natural sugar, especially fructose. After 60, our bodies aren't as efficient at processing sugar. The insulin response slows down, and the sugar sits in the bloodstream longer than it used to. This can lead to spikes in blood sugar that damage blood vessel walls, promote inflammation, and create the perfect environment for blood clots. Even more concerning? Raisins. Just a small handful of dried grapes contains more sugar than most desserts. And unlike whole fruit, dried fruit has no water content to slow absorption and no fiber to blunt the impact. That means sugar hits your system fast, causing rapid shifts in your glucose and blood pressure. These sugar surges, especially if they happen repeatedly, don't just affect your energy levels. They increase pressure in your arteries, reduce blood flow efficiency, and make it easier for clots to form, putting your brain directly at risk. If you love grapes, the good news is you don't have to give them up entirely. But it's worth being mindful of how much and when you're eating them. Pair them with a little protein or healthy fat to slow the sugar spike, and avoid eating them first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Now, let's talk about another favorite that seems safe but might be doing more harm than good, especially when it comes in a bottle. It's often the go-to drink when you're feeling lightheaded or just want something refreshing. It feels gentle, familiar, and healthy, especially when the label says 100% juice. But what most people don't realize is that apple juice behaves very differently in your body compared to a whole apple. When you eat a fresh apple, you're getting fiber, water, and nutrients that work together to slow down how sugar is absorbed into your bloodstream. That helps prevent sudden spikes in blood sugar and keeps your energy more stable. But juice is stripped of all that. What's left is mostly liquid sugar, absorbed quickly and with almost no resistance. For someone over 60, that fast sugar load can cause sharp blood sugar swings and push your pancreas into overdrive. These quick spikes, followed by rapid drops, can stress your cardiovascular system, leading to inflammation in blood vessels and increased pressure in the arteries. Over time, that's a dangerous recipe for strokes. And here's the tricky part. Because it's liquid, it's easy to drink more than you think. A glass here, a refill there, and suddenly you've taken in as much sugar as a soda without realizing it. Even no sugar-added juices can cause this effect because fruit sugar, in large amounts, is still sugar. If you enjoy apple flavor, try eating a whole apple instead, or dilute your juice with water to reduce the impact. It's a simple switch that your brain and heart will thank you for. Now let's move on to a tropical fruit that might be sitting on your kitchen counter. Sweet, sunny, and far more acidic than it seems. It's bright, tropical, and feels like sunshine in a bowl. Many older adults enjoy it chilled or canned, thinking it's a refreshing, healthy treat. But what you may not know is that pineapple, while rich in vitamin C, can also be surprisingly harsh on your body, especially after 60. Pineapple is naturally high in both sugar and acid. That combination can irritate your stomach, throw off your digestion, and cause blood sugar to rise quickly, especially if you eat it on an empty stomach or in large amounts. The acidity may also trigger inflammation in the lining of your gut, which can affect how nutrients are absorbed and how stable your blood pressure stays. And that's not all. The natural sugar in pineapple, mainly fructose, is rapidly absorbed, sending a surge of glucose into your system. For older adults with slower metabolism and more delicate blood vessels, this sudden sugar load can put unnecessary pressure on the heart and brain. Over time, these surges may damage artery walls, promote clotting, and increase the risk of stroke. Canned pineapple adds another layer of concern. It often comes soaked in syrup, packing in even more sugar than fresh slices. Even if it says light syrup, the impact can be strong, especially if you're already managing blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar. If you love pineapple, you don't have to cut it out completely. Just be mindful of the portion and try to eat it with a small meal, not on its own. That one small habit can make a big difference in how your body responds. Now let's look at a fruit often labeled a superfood. But even the healthiest things can turn risky in large amounts. They've become a symbol of healthy eating in recent years, and with good reason. Avocados are packed with fiber, potassium, and heart-friendly fats. They support brain health, help lower bad cholesterol, and keep you feeling full. But here's the thing. Even the healthiest foods can cause problems if you go overboard, especially as you get older. Avocados are high in monounsaturated fat, which is generally good for your heart. But if you're eating large amounts every day, on toast, in salads, blended into smoothies, it can add up to a significant fat and calorie load. For a younger body, that's easier to process. But after 60, your metabolism slows, and excess fat, even healthy fat, can begin to impact your cholesterol levels and blood pressure. And potassium, while essential for nerve and muscle function, can be tricky. Avocados are rich in potassium, more than bananas, and if you have kidney issues, too much potassium can build up in your blood. That can throw off your heart rhythm, increase blood pressure, and in some cases, increase your risk of stroke. There's also the hidden issue of portion size. A whole avocado might seem harmless, but eating one every single day, without adjusting the rest of your diet, can quietly push your numbers in the wrong direction over time. Especially if you're also eating other high-fat or high-potassium foods. The key? Balance. A few slices of avocado a few times a week is plenty to get the benefits without tipping into risky territory. Next, let's move from creamy to chewy, because the next fruit is often disguised as a healthy snack, but delivers more sugar than most desserts. These little brown fruits are often called nature's candy, and for good reason. They're soft, sweet, and packed with natural sugars. Many older adults keep them on hand as a quick energy boost or a healthier alternative to cookies or candy. But when it comes to stroke risk, dates deserve a closer look. 1 or 2 dates may seem harmless, but just a few can add up to 20-30 grams of sugar, without any fiber to slow things down. And since they're so small, it's easy to eat more than you intended. That's where the problem starts. After 60, your body doesn't process sugar as efficiently. Blood sugar tends to rise faster and stay elevated longer, which places more pressure on your arteries and brain. When these sugar surges happen frequently, they increase inflammation in your blood vessels and raise the risk of clot formation, 2 major contributors to stroke. Another thing to consider: dates are calorie-dense. Just a handful can equal the calorie count of an entire meal. If you're trying to manage your weight, blood sugar, or blood pressure, this concentrated energy can throw things off balance, especially if it becomes a daily habit. And while dates do contain potassium, magnesium, and antioxidants, the high sugar content can overpower the benefits if you're not careful. They're best enjoyed occasionally, in small portions, and always paired with a bit of protein or fat to help balance the sugar load. Coming up next, we'll take a look at a fruit that's easy on the stomach for some, but can cause lightheadedness and circulation problems in others. Let's talk about papaya. It's often seen as a gentle, digestive-friendly fruit, and for many people, it is. It's soft, low in acid, and rich in enzymes that support gut health. That's why papaya is especially popular among older adults dealing with constipation or indigestion. But even something that seems so mild can have surprising effects on your body. One of papaya's lesser-known traits is its ability to lower blood pressure. On the surface, that sounds like a good thing. But if your blood pressure is already on the low side, or if you're taking medications to manage it, papaya can push things too far. That drop in pressure might leave you feeling dizzy, weak, or lightheaded, especially if you stand up quickly or eat it on an empty stomach. For seniors, these moments of instability can be dangerous. A sudden loss of balance or a brief blackout could lead to a fall, or worse, signal reduced blood flow to the brain. Over time, repeated episodes like that may strain your circulatory system and increase your stroke risk. And there's something else to consider. Papaya also contains compounds that may interact with certain medications, particularly blood thinners and drugs that affect the heart or liver. While it's rare, it's still worth being cautious, especially if you're already managing multiple conditions. Enjoying papaya now and then is fine for most people, but moderation is key. If you've ever felt unusually tired or unsteady after eating it, your body may be telling you something. Next, we'll look at a fruit that's often eaten fresh and juicy, but its natural sweetness can quietly put stress on your brain's most delicate blood vessels. They're soft, juicy, and easy to digest, making them a go-to fruit for many older adults. A ripe pear can feel like the perfect snack, light, refreshing, and gentle on the stomach. But beneath that sweet, delicate texture is something worth paying attention to, especially if you're watching your blood sugar or blood pressure. Pears are high in natural sugars, particularly fructose. While that's not necessarily a bad thing, the way your body handles sugar changes with age. After 60, insulin sensitivity tends to decline, which means your body may take longer to bring blood sugar levels back to normal after eating. That can lead to spikes, especially when pears are eaten alone or on an empty stomach. You might not feel anything at first, but those repeated sugar surges can slowly damage the lining of your blood vessels, increase inflammation, and reduce circulation to the brain over time. These are all subtle changes that raise your long-term risk of stroke without making much noise along the way. Another point to consider is how fast you eat a pear. Because they're soft and sweet, it's easy to consume one quickly, without the fiber really having a chance to slow down sugar absorption. And if you're pairing it with nothing else, that sugar enters your bloodstream fast. To be clear, pears can still be part of a healthy diet. Just try to eat them alongside something with protein or fat, like a few nuts or a slice of cheese, to slow digestion and keep your blood sugar stable. Next, let's move to a fruit that often comes in cans and lunchboxes. Sweet and nostalgic, but not as harmless as it seems. There's something comforting about a ripe, juicy peach. It reminds many of us of summer afternoons, homemade pies, or those little fruit cups we packed in school lunches. But while peaches can be a healthy choice when eaten fresh and in moderation, the way they're often served today can quietly raise your risk of stroke. Fresh peaches are naturally sweet, but when they're canned, things change. Many canned peaches are stored in heavy syrup, which adds a significant amount of refined sugar to each serving. Even the ones labeled light syrup, or no sugar added, often contain concentrated fruit juice, which still causes your blood sugar to rise quickly. For older adults, this sugar spike can be more than just an energy crash. It can strain your blood vessels, increase arterial inflammation, and, if repeated over time, raise your stroke risk significantly. And because the fruit is soft and easy to chew, it's easy to eat more than one serving without realizing it. Even fresh peaches, if very ripe, can have a high glycemic index, meaning they affect blood sugar more quickly. And for those managing blood pressure or taking medications that affect fluid balance, the added sugar from canned or syrupy versions can make things worse. If you enjoy peaches, choose fresh or frozen ones without added sugar, and be mindful of the portion. And remember, just because it comes in a small plastic cup doesn't mean it's harmless. Now let's finish with a fruit that's often found in energy bars and health mixes, but may carry more sugar than most desserts. You might not eat them every day, but figs, especially dried ones, have become popular in granola bars, healthy snacks, and upscale cheese platters. They're often praised for being high in fiber, potassium, and antioxidants. And while that's all true, there's another side to this story, especially if you're over 60 and trying to protect your brain. Dried figs are incredibly dense in natural sugar. Just 2 or 3 can contain more sugar than an entire slice of cake. Because the water has been removed, what you're left with is a concentrated burst of sugar that hits your bloodstream fast, without the hydration or volume of fresh fruit to slow things down. For older adults, these rapid sugar surges can be risky. Your blood vessels become more sensitive with age. High sugar loads can lead to inflammation, trigger blood pressure fluctuations, and contribute to the development of arterial plaque, all of which quietly raise your stroke risk over time. There's also the issue of portion control. Figs are small, chewy, and delicious. It's easy to eat 5 or 6 without thinking twice. That's a lot of sugar in just a few bites. And if you're also eating other sweet snacks during the day, it all adds up fast. Fresh figs, when available, are a better option. But they're still sweet, so moderation is key. If you enjoy dried figs, try pairing them with a small handful of nuts or a slice of cheese to balance the sugar load and slow absorption. Now that we've covered all 9 fruits, you might be wondering, do you have to give them all up? Not at all. But knowing how they affect your body after 60 can help you enjoy them more safely and confidently. You don't have to give up fruit to protect your brain. The key is knowing which ones to limit, how much to eat, and when to eat them. After 60, your body changes, and so should your habits. Small tweaks, like pairing fruit with protein or choosing fresh over dried or canned, can make a big difference in how your heart and brain respond. Remember, even healthy foods can work against you if they're not right for your body anymore. You deserve to enjoy what you eat without unknowingly putting your health at risk. So, take what you've learned today and use it to make smarter, gentler choices. Your brain will thank you, and so will your future self. If this video helped you understand fruit in a new way, give it a like. Share your thoughts or experience below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe to Health 365 for more simple, science-backed tips to stay sharp, strong, and healthy every day. Take care.